Welcome to the Reddit Chronicles. Today we will be reading from Am I the Jerk? Our first post is by Pretend Canary. Am I the jerk for not sharing my inheritance with the rest of my family? My family situation is messy. I, 25F, was engaged 4 years ago to my high school sweetheart. My fiancé cheated on me with my sister, 28F. We had never had a good relationship even as kids, so after I found out, I went scorched earth both of them. She was so in love with my fiancé, but he dumped her within 2 weeks and was back trying to get me to forgive him. I didn't. My parents were initially on my side, but my sister had a nervous breakdown after she was dumped and was hospitalized, so they changed their tune to, "It's over now and you can't be mad forever." So I dumped them too and went to grad school on the other side of the country. My grandfather was livid with the whole thing, disowned my sister, and chewed out my parents. Sometimes it felt like he was the only one who was on my side and understood. I was able to get my job to let me work remotely and moved back to take care of him when he got sick last fall, and I was devastated when he passed a couple of months ago. I had been in limited contact with my parents since I came back, mostly because I didn't want to be an obstacle to my dad seeing my grandfather, but with the understanding that any discussion of my sister or what happened would end that. It turns out that my grandfather left me virtually everything. He left enough for my father to cover a debt and some token stuff for a couple of other relatives, but he wrote letters for everyone and did a videotape with his attorney explaining what his intentions were. I knew that he had done well for himself, but he lived a pretty simple lifestyle, so I didn't realize how much money and assets he really had. I would give it all up to have my papa back, but even after taxes, it is set for life money. My parents are pretty mad about it. One of the reasons stated for cutting them out was how disappointed my grandfather was with how they had treated me growing up versus my sister and over the fiancé debacle. There were other reasons, but that's what they're fixated on. The will is pretty airtight apparently, so my parents want me to do the right thing and share it equally between me, them, and my sister. Their argument is that I don't need it. I make more than both of them combined, and this would allow them to retire. My sister is not doing great and can't hold a job, so this would ensure she has something for when my parents pass. I don't want to. My grandfather's wishes were crystal clear, and also, I kind of don't feel like doing more than the minimum for any of them. They've been telling me that I'm being vindictive because of a mistake years ago. I can't deny there might be a little vindictiveness there. I don't want them to suffer necessarily, but I also don't feel like they deserve my help. Our next post is by Crazy Wife Aw. Am I the jerk for only paying for my wife and I at a restaurant? I, 24M, and my wife, 24F, are newlywed couples. My wife has 4 friends who she has been really close with since high school. For a celebration, my wife decided to go to an expensive steakhouse. The day comes and we go in separate cars there. We all eat, and my wife slides the bill, $700 plus, and proceeds to say, "The man should always pay for the wife and her friends." I laugh awkwardly saying why. She says because I'm the man. I tell her that the only other person I would pay for would be you and me. Her friends proceeded to laugh at me, calling me a broke husband. I stand up and put 2 $100 bills for me and my wife's food and leave. My wife gets home and starts screaming at me, saying I made her feel embarrassed, how she promised her friends I'd pay, and that her friends made fun of her on the ride home for marrying a man who can't pay the bill. I decided to pack a bag and head to my friend's house. I told my parents' friends, and they say I should have just paid it. Now I'm having second thoughts if I overreacted. Am I the jerk? Edit 1. Hi guys, I've read someone comments if my wife has ever acted like this, and she never has, that why I just laughed awkwardly. The only other time she did this was when I didn't buy her mom food, which happened when we first started dating. And it was the first time she ever screamed at me like that. Instead of escalating it, I just left, and when we do argue, it's not a screaming match. For how long we have dated. I've known her since freshman year of high school, and got together junior year. Dated for 8+ years. I read some comments and decided to go talk to her tomorrow about what happened, why she did that, etc. I do recognize that I didn't pay the full amount of me and my wife's dinner. I do take fault in that. I should have added another $50 to $75 to make it the price of 2 people. For the people who say I forgot to tip, I go there regularly with my coworkers, each pay for their own plate, and always leave a good tip. In the comments, P Velocity writes, "Seriously, if I'm paying for 4 women's means, I better be getting some from all 4 women. If not, let their men pay for it. I'll never understand the mentality of someone who calls you broke because you don't want to pay for them. Doesn't that mean that they are even more broke?" Our next post is by Big Explanation. Am I the jerk for making my daughter cry at a restaurant? My F45 daughter, 12, decided 2 weeks ago she wants to be a vegetarian. I was fine with that. I would support and encourage her if that's what she wanted. The past 2 weeks, she has been looking down on the rest of the family with snooty comments like, "You know that will just sit in your colon, right? And it doesn't make you the murderer, but it def makes you the accomplice." Her brother 7 is getting sick of it. And so am I, especially when I just get home from work and I just want to relax and enjoy my meal. 3 days ago was my son's birthday, and we decided to take him out to his favorite restaurant. This place had vegetarian options, so I was not worried about my daughter being upset about that. I asked her if she wanted to go, and she excitedly said yes. We get there, and when the waiter takes out order, my daughter decided she wanted a mushroom burger. I said, "Whoa, I thought you wanted to go vegetarian." She says, "I'm taking a break since it's a special occasion." I told the waiter to cancel that order and give us a few minutes. I looked at her and said, "Look here, Missy, you have been nothing but a jerk these last few days with your passive-aggressive comments since going vegan, vegetarian, whatever. You either commit to it now or you get nothing at all." She doesn't even look at me. She just flops her head on the table and starts crying the moment I start talking. My husband does nothing but says, "Way to go." She doesn't move her head the entire dinner even when I ask if we need to talk outside. Go to the bathroom to collect herself, nothing. We get home and she just goes to her room. My husband thinks I am the jerk because I had to ruin a night out. Am I the jerk? When I said mushroom burger, I mean a hamburger with sautéed mushrooms on top with melted cheese. It's definitely not a portobello patty. Edit for clarification. So my husband and I told her to knock it off with the comments before this happened. At first, it was random cons about eating meat. I told her I'm aware, but this is my choice. Then came the rude remarks like, "So you're just gonna take 2 years off your lifespan like that?" when I chose to reheat meatloaf for dinner instead of a pizza. At that point, I told her that she does not get to make rude remarks about people's lifestyle choices like that, and if she says something rude like that again, I am taking away her phone. Of course, she cried and ran to her room. She stopped saying things to me and her dad, but then she would start picking on her brother when we were out of earshot and would deny it when he would tell us. Apparently, she has been telling her brother that he's a loser for eating meat, hot dogs, and so are his friends. After doing this twice, I took her phone away and told her to apologize to her brother, and if she wants to educate people on vegetarianism, that's fine, but she needs to stop being a bully about it. Again, she breaks down and just runs to her room. I'm not even yelling at her. This is how she tries to deflect accountability. I tried to talk to her an hour later about it, but she flailed onto her bed and started bawling. I told her she needed to calm down and have a conversation with me about what's going on. She just screamed, "No," so I left before I lost my cool. At this point, I am really considering therapy for us. Update. I'm taking the verdict that I was the jerk. I should have just not said anything during the dinner. I'm just so tired of her behavior this past year. She realized at some point she can just flail and cry to avoid having to talk about her actions until someone, usually her dad, tells everyone to leave her alone because she can't handle the situation right now. I don't know if it's her friends, TikTok, or both. I am trying to support her vegetarian diet by encouraging her to eat salads, meat substitutes, etc. But we had another argument last night. As most of you pointed out, yes, she was eating mostly junk food to avoid meat. I wanted to take her shopping for better options, but I also wanted to address what was going on. I told her, I support you going vegan, and I'm sorry for what happened at your brother's birthday. But you saying mean things to us for eating meat, calling your brother a loser for eating a hot dog, and then turning around and ordering a burger in front of him is very hypocritical of you. I need you to understand that we have been very supportive these past few weeks, and we don't deserve that treatment, okay? She just stares at the TV and doesn't say anything. Baby, I need to know if you're understanding. I'm willing to help you out with this change. We can go shopping tomorrow morning for better options like salads and meat substitutes, but we are not going to put up with these comments anymore, okay? Oh my God, I am trying to watch my show. Can you understand that? She screamed at me. I'm sorry y'all, but I was done with gentle parenting at this point. I don't want to go into detail with everything that happened that night, but I am making an appointment with a therapist this week. Wi-Fi password is changed, and she is grounded from certain things this summer. She flailed, she cried. I didn't walk away this time. I stood firm, pulled out my phone and said, how would you feel if your friends saw you acting like this? And that was that. I tried being the supportive parent, but she is being a not nice girl, and I refuse to have that behavior in my house. For those who are going through the same thing, thank you for understanding. Down in the comments, Photos, Beers, and Teach says it best. Everyone sucks here. Your daughter was being rude, but you are focusing on the wrong issue. The issue is not that she is going back and forth about her dietary choices. The issue is that she is actively being rude to her brother and you. Why didn't you address her comments the first time she said something and give her an appropriate consequence then? Thank you for listening to the Reddit Chronicles. Follow for more content.